the Great Christological Debates, an Ethiopian Orthodox perspective. Welcome to our channel. Today, we journey back in time to 16th and 17th century Ethiopia, a period of intense theological debate that would shape the identity of one of the world's oldest Christian nations. We'll explore the three major Christological debates between Ethiopian Orthodox scholars and European Jesuit missionaries, all from the unique perspective of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. To understand these debates, we first need to grasp the core of Ethiopian Christology. The term Tewahedo itself, from the Ge'ez language, means being made one or unified. This refers to the belief in the one, united nature of Christ, where the divine and human are perfectly joined without confusion, change, separation, or mixture. This is a concept deeply rooted in the teachings of early church fathers like St. Cyril of Alexandria. The Ethiopian Church, along with other Oriental Orthodox churches, holds a Miaphysite position, meaning one united nature. This is often misunderstood by outsiders as Monophysitism, a heresy that suggests Christ's human nature was absorbed by the divine. The Ethiopian Church vehemently rejects this, affirming that Christ is both perfect God and perfect man. This fundamental understanding of Christ's nature was the battleground for the debates we are about to explore. The first Christological debate, a king's stand. The first major theological clash occurred during the reign of Emperor Gelasius in the mid-16th century. Portuguese Jesuit missionaries had arrived in Ethiopia, initially to offer military aid against a common enemy. However, their agenda soon became clear: to bring the Ethiopian Church under the authority of the Roman Catholic Pope. The central point of contention was the definition of the Council of Chalcedon, held in 451 AD, which the Ethiopian Church, along with other Oriental Orthodox churches, had rejected. The Chalcedonian formula confessed Christ in two natures, a phrasing the Ethiopians believed dangerously echoed the teachings of Nestorius, who was condemned for dividing Christ into two separate persons. For the Ethiopian scholars, this threatened the perfect, indivisible union of God and man in the person of Jesus Christ. The primary representatives for the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, EOTC, in this debate were Abba Pauli and Abba Zekri. They stood firm against the Jesuit arguments, defending the Tewahedo faith. In response to the missionaries' challenges, Emperor Gelasius himself prepared a famous Christological confession, the Confessio Fidei Claudii Regis Ethiopiae. In it, he clearly articulated the non-Chalcedonian faith of the EOTC, demonstrating no intention of embracing the Roman Catholic position. This first debate set the stage for the conflicts to come, solidifying the Ethiopian resolve to protect their ancient faith from foreign theological imposition. The second Christological debate, the nuances of nature and person. The second round of debates took place in the early 17th century with the arrival of a new Jesuit missionary, Piero, or Peter, Pease. Pease was a more astute and culturally sensitive figure than his predecessors. He learned the local languages, Amharic and Ge'ez, and adapted his approach, engaging Ethiopian scholars in a more nuanced theological dialogue. The debate during the reign of King Zedekiel centered on the understanding of nature, Bahari, and person, Akal. Pease, representing the diaphysite or two-nature position of the Catholic Church, argued that since Christ shed his blood, he must have a distinct human nature, as divinity cannot bleed. The Ethiopian scholars countered this by explaining their understanding of the hypostatic union. They contended that the blood was shed from the person of Christ, in whom the divine and human natures are inseparably united. Therefore, the act of shedding blood is attributed to the one person of the incarnate Word, not to a separate human nature acting independently. This debate highlighted a key aspect of Ethiopian Orthodox teaching. While acknowledging the distinction between the divinity and humanity of Christ, they emphasized that after the union, these two are never separate. All actions, whether human or divine, are attributed to the one, unified person of Jesus Christ. The third Christological debate, the unfathomable mystery. The third and final major debate occurred in 1622 during the reign of Emperor Susanoo, who, under the influence of the Jesuits, had converted to Catholicism. This debate featured the Catholic patriarch Alfonso Mendes and the brilliant Ethiopian theologian Betrejurges. Mendes posed a challenging question: where is it written that the natural Son of God died? Betrejurges swiftly replied with a verse from Romans 5:10, "For if, while we were enemies, we were reconciled to God through the death of his Son." Mendes, taken aback, then asked, "Where is the face of God?" Betrejurges's response was profound. He explained that the face of God has no direction, for God is omnipresent. Impressed by his wisdom, a poem was composed in his honor, playing on the Ge'ez word betir, which can mean both rod and refer to Betrejurges himself, signifying him as the rod of St. George, who could weaken the Roman faith. This exchange encapsulates the Ethiopian Orthodox approach to theology. It often leans on Scripture and acknowledges the profound mysteries of God, rather than attempting to define them with rigid philosophical terms that could potentially limit the divine. The insistence of the missionaries on their theological position ultimately led to widespread resentment and conflict. The forced conversion of the nation to Catholicism by Emperor Susanoo resulted in a civil war. Eventually, his son, Emperor Fasold, expelled the Jesuits in 1632, restoring the Orthodox faith as the state religion and closing Ethiopia to foreign influence for centuries. The enduring legacy. The Christological debates of the 16th and 17th centuries were a pivotal moment in Ethiopian history. They were not merely intellectual exercises, but a struggle for the soul of a nation. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, through the wisdom and steadfastness of its scholars and the conviction of its people, successfully defended its ancient faith. Their arguments, deeply rooted in the teachings of the early Church Fathers and the Alexandrian school of theology, emphasized the profound and mysterious unity of the divine and the human in the person of Jesus Christ. This Tewahedo faith continues to be the cornerstone of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church today, a vibrant and enduring testament to a faith that has withstood the test of time. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of Ethiopian Christianity. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history and faith.